All right, guys, let's start class. So good evening to all of you. So today we are going to look at task 2A. Today we are going to look at task 2A. So I shared everything yesterday. There's a lot of stuff that I've shared on Google Classroom. So don't get overwhelmed because it can get a little overwhelming when you have too much of information, right? Don't get overwhelmed. Understand what is going on. I have shared the lecture notes and the Excel sheet with analysis. Then I have shared some recommended reading books for the task. Then I have shared this question has been tested 3 times, word to word in the past. Vodafone case study, LVMH case study, that's the Louis Vuitton case study, right? And there was one more case study, which is the Toyota case study, right? So I am going to show you some examples. So it's very simple, okay? You're really lucky. All your questions this time has been tested in the past, word to word. So you are really lucky. I don't know. It has never happened in the past. 2 things have never happened in the past that is happening. One is all questions that you have now, word to word, has been tested in the past. Second thing is, you also don't have any financials this time in the appendix. Usually there's a lot of numbers in the appendix, at least about 6 or 7 appendices with numbers. You don't have that as well. So you are really lucky, which means the examiner, I think, is telling you here, pass. Pass the case study. Okay. So you need to somehow ensure you grab this opportunity this time. As you know, the CIM syllabus has changed in level 4 and 6. All subjects have moved online to online assessments, online exams. So only level 7 will be assignment based. That also it won't be for too long, maybe next session, maybe 1 or 2 sessions. I don't know. They have not announced as yet. Okay, so let's make sure we finish it really fast whilst it is an assignment. Okay, right. So shall we get started? Let's get started. So I want to take you through the analysis first. Now, last week I took you through all the other areas for task 1, A and B, but I didn't take you the brand analysis area. So I have used Kevin Lane Keller's brand pyramid, which we've done when we were doing theory. And I have looked at the subcomponents: salience, imagery, performance, feelings, judgment, resonance. Those are the subcomponents of the brand pyramid. And I have analyzed it here and given you some thoughts for the DPEP company, right? So salience, as you know, is the top of mind recall, iconic characters. It talks about, the content like Frozen, Marvel, Star Wars, also a lot of franchising and experiential opportunities. Then under salience, we're talking about needs satisfied. The second factor. So how do we make Disney a household name and continue to retain that and own that? Our core need is entertainment. The need that is being satisfied is entertainment. So we need to ensure we live up to that. Do we own the word happiness in the mind of the customers is a question mark. Right? So if someone says happiness, what comes into your mind? What's the brand that comes into your mind? If people think of Coca-Cola, people think of something else, right? Maybe a brand of chocolate or soda or something like that, and not Disneyland, then you don't know. What do you occupy in the mind of the consumer? because we're talking about branding, we're talking about positioning. What do you occupy? What word do you occupy in the mind of the consumer? Pizza Hut owns the word delivery, right? So does maybe DHL. Cambridge College owns the word CIM, no? Think of CIM, think of Cambridge College, right? So certain brands own certain words. If you think of safety, maybe words like maybe Dettol, maybe Kalani Cables will own that mind in the customer's head. So what word do you own in the customer's mind, and which is the core need that is being satisfied, right? Imagery, user profiles, personas, personality. We have case material that tells us about the artifacts and the personalities that stretch across all its product verticals. And storytelling is of key, uh, it's very important, storytelling. And it also sort of brings about uh, how do you personify this brand, right? Through the characters and the story. So brand image that resonates with all ages, that is what we are trying to achieve. We are not targeting just one segment. Cradle to the grave, how do you be relevant? Our brand is transgenerational and transnational. Purchase, we have to figure out how we can increase online merchandising sales. Remember, you're a consultant, so you need to think like a consultant. So if visits are dropping, then we need to make sure we go to the customer. So online sales is something that we need to boost. Of course, you're selling Disney branded products, so it has to be at a premium price because they are licensed. And then how do we enhance the in-store retail experience using technology, right? Rather than just a traditional way of selling merchandise. How do you use technology, right? Especially in the retail area, there's augmented reality, there's technologies like, glass technology, hologram technology. So how can we use these kind of technologies to enhance the purchase experience? You are one of the world's largest merchandising sellers, but there is arbitrary price increases. So you need to be careful because you are now known to also change price. You practice what we call demand-based pricing. So when you do that, what happens is when the demand is high, you change price. So when you do that, it also results in people who have come for the second or third time who know what the previous price was. So that also will sort of impact your brand. So you need to be careful about that. Values and heritage, you're a 100-year-old company, very American, but localization is important. You're the world's premier entertainment company, and your values are given there, but we proposed new values last week. In terms of performance, service effectiveness and reliability, there's a 70% loyal base that returns, which is very good. You score very highly on all the industry matrices. You are trying to forge meaningful connections, and your challenge is to eliminate marketing myopia, according to the case study. So I've used case material here and I've asked some strategic questions. Design and style, how do you be the best in terms of creating immersive experiences, encourage co-creation, co-branding, as part of your merchandising strategy. Feelings are social appeals, you're mythological. You need to continue with some of the good things you're doing, a fantasy atmosphere storytelling, and you're in the business of making people happy, community focused, edutainment, Disneyfication. Please use these terms in your answers, right? And it talks about how you try to play with the emotions of the consumer, right? So all that is part of the feeling of the brand. Judgments, quality. There's also brand erosion because you move down. You've gone, I believe, from number 7 to number 13 in the brand finance ranking. I have shared the 2023, the latest brand finance ranking. I have shared it with you in the recommended reading books. So there are three brand rankings companies: brand finance, interbrand, and there's another company that I've also shared. Those are the three global brand rankings. So you have moved down actually. So there's some level of brand erosion. Although you're a top 100 brand, you've gone down from your previous ranking. So strong correlation between the quality of the brand and the reflection of the overall quality of the company's brand value. So brand management is going to be very important, because if you manage your brand, the company's value goes up. If you don't manage your brand properly, it will result in your share price depreciation, right? So that is something that you need to worry about. Clear link between brand value and host city brand value. So the city in which you are located will also impact. So therefore you need to be careful, because after you go and invest, you can't withdraw, right? So you need to be mindful of that when you're going into new locations, especially. Credibility, creating visitor immersion, place where all age relives fond memories. Superiority, you're a premium brand, premium pricing strategy, right? Uh, and DPEP contributes 24 billion to the overall revenue of Disney, and you are continuing to invest. Resonance, loyalty, and attachment. This is right at the top of the pyramid, resonance. So you do so many things to ensure that customers will take the brand back in their mind. Uh, you have obviously your stories, your characters, treasured memories in years to come. So you need to then remove whatever friction and pain points in the customer journey. Make sure everyone can have a memorable time, so that when they go back, if they're disappointed, so you then need to do customer satisfaction surveys, exit surveys, because there can be situations where people don't get a chance to do even one ride because it's so crowded. So you need to continue to solicit customer feedback to ensure everyone who has paid a price and spent one day in the park gets value for money, right? So our challenge is to make sure we retain our customers and we win them back, right? Then community initiatives. There are so many sustainability things that you are involved in. Your commitment to sustainable development goals, UN SDGs, net zero goals. Then you have Disney volunteers initiatives. So many things happening around sustainability and community and CSR. And in terms of engagement, finally, talks about how the corporate brand connecting at all levels and focusing on long-term relationships, right? And it talks about the brand's personality and the reflection, and how it appeals to the consumer at three levels: physical, sensual, and conceptual. So I think this is my analysis of the brand. So you can change whatever you want. Please don't copy what I put here, right? Please make sure you do your own work. Now, shall we go to the slides? Let's go to the slides. So in terms of task 2A, uh, we have this same question that has been tested in the Vodafone case study. Same words, same, the marks I believe is different. Let's see what the marks are. Disneyland marks is 50 marks. So Vodafone is 25 marks. So the marks are different, right? Critically evaluate Vodafone Group PLC's brand contribution towards increasing the organization's value and brand equity and achieving its objectives. So the command word here is important, critical. Then the keywords are, the theoretical area is about brand value, and organizational value and equity in achieving its objectives. Then the Toyota case to critically evaluate the extent to which your chosen organization's corporate brand. Just give me 1 second, please. Sorry. Okay. So if you look at the Toyota case study also has the same question. Critically evaluate the extent to which your chosen organization's corporate brand has contributed towards increasing value and brand equity. So guys, please try and read at least, at least 20 to 30 A-grade answers across all these different case studies. Toyota, Vodafone, and if you look at the Louis Vuitton case study, same question has been repeated, but the difference here is for the Louis Vuitton case study, it has been repeated for task 3. So it will be for a chosen organization. Right. Critically evaluate your chosen organization's brand contribution towards increasing organization value and brand equity and achieving objectives. So if you're smart, you'll take some time before you start writing the answer to try and pick what template you want to use. And please go through all the stuff I've given you. Then I'm sure you will find some template. Then benchmark that template. It's as simple as that. Many of you have been doing that. Well done. And this is your question for 2A. Critically evaluate DPEP's brand contribution towards increasing organizational value and brand equity and in achieving its objectives. 15 marks, 750 words. The assessment criteria is clear, right? Now, when I talk, I'm first going to go through a little bit of theory. When I talk about this area, there's so much of books that you can use. Some of these books you use already in your other subject, CDC, right? These are good books. Corporate branding in this book that I've given you, very good. Please refer this. This is CIM recommended reading. Chapter 5, 6, 7 is all about corporate branding. The rise of corporate brands, measuring corporate brands. Please reference this. Then you have Corporate Reputation, Gary Davis, very good book. Charles Fromborn, Corporate Communications. You use all this for CDC. Corporate Identity by Meliver. Then you have Reputation Management. So I have only put few pictures here, but I've given you a lot of books on branding, including Kevin Lane Keller's latest book. So treasure those books, guys. Those books are recommended reading, and I'm giving you recommended reading by task so that you can consciously use some very good citations. Okay, but don't get overwhelmed. I don't expect you to read them cover to cover. So what is a corporate brand? I'm just quickly going to go through theory, right? So these are some definitions, visual representation. You know, it's a group of products. So you don't need definitions as such. Please don't put definitions, but for you to understand, this is Davies' definition on corporate branding. Then try and understand the difference between product brands and corporate brands. There's a discussion of this in some of the answers. That's why I put it here. This is by Barmer. So you are talking about here about the corporate brand, so that you can distinguish and show your knowledge between corporate brands and product brands. So again, this is from recommended reading. Corporate brands, there are many benefits. It's a source of value to stakeholders. It's a promise, right? And it will help you integrate your communications. Some of these have been used as diagrams by students. That's why I'm showing you these. When you look at now some A grades, I will show you that. Now, this is what is important. This is the most important slide. Now, in your answer, I call this why corporate branding or enablers of corporate branding. Can you take a screenshot of this? This is the most important slide. I believe it's slide number 14, where you are going to use in the body of your answer. So there are so many points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can take 5 to 6 factors. I will show you how it has been done by in A grade answers. So corporate brand, there are many benefits. It creates a halo effect, corporate brands, right, on the overall organization. It enhances your image, your reputation. If you have a good corporate brand like Nestle, like Unilever, it's a promise that you're making. And it has a knock-on effect on all the product brands and SBUs. It communicates a unique proposition. You are able to differentiate and increase brand preference. Also, corporate branding uh, you can build a personality and a character into a corporate brand, just like you have your Mickey Mouse and your characters, right? So that you can go to town with that here, right? So even if you take a boring product like uh, Energizer batteries, it has created a personality, a character like the Energizer bunny, right? So you can personify a brand using a character and a personality. And Disney has so many of it, right? So you can talk about all those and enabling strong identity, associations, recognition, and awareness. It reassures trust and ensures satisfaction and loyalty, helps integrate communications. All your communications will be integrated. Corporate brand equity as an intangible asset. Some companies will take the equity you have and put it in the balance sheet. It is an intangible asset, right? Usually in the balance sheet, you'll have tangible assets, okay, like machinery, equipment, furniture, vehicles that the company owns, and current assets, fixed assets, all that. But most of the global organizations today take a component or a percentage of the intangible brand as an asset also and puts it inside your balance sheet. So that's a strength, because if you have a bigger balance sheet, it shows you stability. You can borrow more money. It shows that you're bigger and better. And then there are also methods to measure corporate branding. There are commercial systems that you have perhaps learned some of these in CDC as well. Don't worry about it if you have not, right? So there are these theories that you can use. This is used by many A grades as well. The elements, roles, and assets of a brand. You can reference this author, right? The components, the different components. I think I took you through this, the difference between product. This slide has been duplicated. Then this talks about the different kinds of components of corporate branding, how identity is linked to the image, how positioning is linked to identity, right? So I'm giving you so many theories here. This is not a very popular theory that has been used because it just shows you the link between. Uh, but I'm giving you many theories here because if when you're writing, if you feel like you can use this theory to build your answer, and I will show that has been done by many students, please feel free to do that. That's why I'm showing you many theories. Then it talks about corporate branding strategies. Please use this somewhere in your answer. Monolithic strategies, endorsed strategies, theory, right? And branded strategy. Please use this in your answer. Almost all A grades are using it. So it gives you examples of monolithic, endorsed, and branded strategies. These are theory. Go through this, right? If you find it difficult, you can reach out to me, but it's fairly straightforward. Then we have a theory called house of brands versus branded house, right? So house of brands is when you don't use the parent company, right? Procter and Gamble. So you don't call it Pringles Procter and Gamble. That Pringles is a separate brand. P&G is a separate brand. So the parent brand is separate. And then you have a branded house where you have General Electric, where all the products are called General Electric, appliances, General Electric writing. So you have the corporate brand name used in all the product brand names. So we call this house of brands versus branded house. So I have given you some examples of that. Students have used that. This is another very famous theory, corporate branding strategies by Camera. So this has been used, right? This has been used as well. So financial orientation, there are 4 orientations. This has also been used by many, right? The Van Reel theory. You can see how students have used this, but be comfortable before using it. In terms of corporate brand, do you give a medium endorsement, strong endorsement, no endorsement, or a weak endorsement to your product brands, right? Again, that has been explained with examples here. Archer's brand theory has been used by some students, some have not, right? The brand equity components by David Archer. Then there's another author called Jobber, David Jobber, who has brand positioning components, right? I've given you examples here. Please try and use it if you see fit. Then the Frombron theory of the facets of corporate reputation has been used by some. How your corporate personality will form your corporate identity, will form your corporate image, and finally your reputation. And there are 4 components of reputation: credibility, trustworthiness, reliability, and responsibility. So you don't have space to explain all this. And there are many ways. I will show you when I go into the answers now. Students have used many, many ways to answer this question. Then you have the corporate identity mix. The corporate identity mix. I'm sure you'd have done this in CDC. Don't worry about it otherwise, right? So this is the same theory in a different diagram. The corporate identity mix, symbolism, behavior, and communication. I have given you a small note on that. Remember, you can't use all these theories, okay? So maybe maybe 1 to 3 theories many of you will use. Some have only used 1 theory. Some have used about 3, 4 theories. Some have used 2 theories. I'll go into the answers. Balmer's acid test has also been used by some students, the components of corporate identity, right? Then I took you through this Keller's brand pyramid. I have included that in the audit. Some students have only used the Keller's brand pyramid in the answer. So examiner has given A grades for that too. Again, in CIM, guys, there is no one best way to answer. The examiner looks at your answer as a piece of consultancy work to see whether if the examiner sits in the board of directors, will the examiner buy your answer or not, right? So there's no one best way to answer. This is the brand pyramid. This is what I spoke about in the strategic audit, Kevin Lane Keller's brand pyramid. The sub dimensions, I spoke to you about resonance, judgment, feelings, salience, imagery, and performance. right? Again, this has been used, the Kotler theory on branding strategies have been used by some students. Line extension, brand extension, multi-brands and new brands, right? Then another theory, which is a heavy theory, brand fingerprints by Wise. This is an example of it. This has not been used by many students because it takes up a lot of word count. But if you feel you want to, also you can, right? Millward Brown's brand loyalty has been used by few students. If you go through the recommended reading, you will also find this. It is a British consultancy company, Millward Brown, and they have this pyramid: presence, relevance, performance, advantage, and bonding. So my job is to kind of give you a lot of theory. Another one here is the corporate personality scale by Davies et al. So it talks about the components of a company's corporate personality and how the sub-dimensions of it will come into play here. And then you can use a spider diagram like this. This is from my book. This is from my book in the 18th chapter, how you can use the Davies model to draw a spider diagram to see what your staff think about your corporate brand, what customers think about your corporate brand, right? So this is the gap between what we think we are and what our customers think we are in terms of our corporate brand. Interesting insight, right? Then there's another theory called Equitrend by Harris Interactive. Equitrend, again, that has components to understand the brand's health and brand equity, right? Then this question has two parts. One is the discussion on branding and reputation, corporate branding and reputation. The other is to create value. So when you talk about value, obviously you can talk about the value chain. You can talk about the value chain. You can also talk about shareholder value analysis. And I've given you a couple of definitions here, some terminology like SVA, market cap, and I've given you some level of formulas. So benchmark the A grades, right? You can talk about ROI. You can put some of these formulas with some numbers if you want. Not mandatory because we don't have case numbers, right? But you can put some of these formulas and talk to the examiner about shareholder value creation, right? These are all um, shareholder value creating ratios. Economic profit is another one. Economic value added is another one, right? So then another theory that you can talk about is financial value drivers by Doyle, cash flow timing, cash flow volume. So you don't have a lot of word count to talk about all these, but I'm giving you different authors so that you will then use what you're comfortable with based on the A grade that you're benchmarking, right? So a legacy has been left behind from the previous students and you don't need to worry about it. Now, I will go through some answers, but let me go through the structure of the answer first. So in the structure of the answer, in the introduction, you have to provide a critical discussion where you use citations by different authors as to why corporate branding is important. Why corporate branding? Why is it so useful for DPEP? Why should we practice it? So you can take the advantages, you can take some quotes, some references, citations, and have a critical discussion here. Almost all the A grades have done it. It's very simple. Then you come into critical evaluation of corporate branding strategies used by DPEP to increase value and brand equity, right? So if you want to, you can use a table. If you don't want to, you can use subheadings in paragraph format. It doesn't matter, right? So take some enablers. I told you slide number 14, the current drivers of corporate branding, right? You can use maybe 5 to 6 factors from slide number 14. I will show you how A grades have done it. It's very simple. And then in different columns, you can put a critical evaluation column where you talk about the advantages and disadvantages. You can give it a rating, either high, medium, low, or 1 to 10. right? And use the advantages and disadvantages of corporate branding strategies. Then you also need to talk about the second part of this question, which is the impact on value. So the value we are talking here is customer value and shareholder value. Those are the two important stakeholders. So when you talk about customer value, there are measures I have given you there. The customer satisfaction index, brand equity, value. So I have given you these reports by brand finance, brands, Canta, Interbrand. I have given these reports to you in your recommended reading. Go through that, right? So you can talk about how these measures are available, global measures, and you can talk about your brand's performance in those different global brand ratings, and you have gone down, right? So you can talk about customer value in terms of awareness, preference, satisfaction, loyalty. All that is there in the brand pyramid. Then you can identify the key value creating activities in the value chain, right? You can bring in the conversation on the value chain as well there. What are the most important activities in the value chain that creates value? You can give a few examples. How do they impact your objectives? How do they impact your objectives? So capture your objectives somewhere in the strategic audit, because then you can link your objectives as well. Then we talk about the current position of shareholder value. So shareholder value, there are different metrics available like share price movement, market capitalization, operating profits, earnings per share, dividends, ROCE, EBITDA. Don't worry if you don't know some of these things, just stay within what you know, because you don't have space to use all these. Economic profit, economic value added. You can make a few assumptions and give examples on the impact on the objectives. And in conclusion, now don't worry, because there are over 60 A grades that I've given you on the same structure of the answer. Okay. So I'm just showing you the structure now. I spoke about theory before. Before that, I spoke about analysis. We'll go into the A grades and see how simple it is, because you have all these structured by A grade students. Conclusion, discuss that a strong correlation exists between corporate branding and business performance in achieving DPEP's objectives. So this is my structure of in terms of the answer plan, right? Now, shall I take you through some sample answers, right? Let's go through one by one. So shall we go through this one first? Let's go through this one first. So this is from the Vodafone case study. Can you see how the student has started with the ROPA and Phil critical discussion, the start? Then mentioned about Kenta and brands report. So you have to show off to the examiner that you know these, okay? These are global brand ranking agencies. I've given you everything, right? That's why it's important that you read at least about 25 to 30 A grade answers, and then select a template and then finish your answer. And after that, continue reading about another 5-10 answers to see whether you can learn from different answers. Although you benchmark one answer, there can be 1 or 2 points that you add from another answer. Not copy. Please don't copy. Right? So here you go. These are the drivers, enablers of corporate branding: halo effect, image and reputation, value guarantee, trust, integrated communications, rating provided, and a critical evaluation. You can see beautiful citations coming in between from the books I have given. And then it talks about the advantages and disadvantages. I spoke about this theory, the Van Riel theory. So you can see how diagrams have been used, right? From the various books and slides I have given, right? This is an author-generated diagram, which is also okay. author generated diagram, some level of charts and graphs. You can provide estimates, forecasts, that is allowed in CIM. I spoke to you about this as well. Can you see? Shareholder value, just a basic table. And if you don't have information in the case study, you can make assumptions, no problem. And a conclusion, right? So that's one answer. Shall we look at another one? Right. So this student here, again for the Vodafone case study, has gone horizontal. Nice introduction. Again, you can see the monolithic branding strategy has been spoken about. Roper and Field and Van Riel cited. This student has taken a different approach. This student has taken the brand pyramid and done the entire answer. So one theory being used for the entire body of the answer. One theory. As you can see, salience, needs satisfied, imagery. One theory has been used, and then critical evaluation there, ranking, and then impact on value and brand equity. Can you see? Customer value and shareholder value. So this is another interesting template. Finally, a conclusion. Right? Let's look at another one. The student has used a combination of tables and paragraphs. Started off with a critical discussion. Again, Balmer, Freeman, Hemsley, cited in the introduction. Then some discussion is there on the brand pyramid, but you can see the brand pyramid has been applied in this table. And then the student has gone into shareholder value and customer value. That's it. That's it. Okay. Let's look at another one. So I'm only looking at the Vodafone answers now, but you have two other case studies. I like this one as well. This is done nicely, right? Introduction, small introduction, two citations. Then gone into the current drivers of the corporate brand. So you can see image and reputation, trust, strong identity, unique propositions. These are the drivers I have given. Brand, character, and personality. Right? So student has selected about 5 drivers, then gone into a critical evaluation. Then talk about customer value and shareholder value and stakeholder value. And then finally impact. Okay. In between, you can see the brands Millward Brown theory has been used. Kevin Lane Keller's theory has been used. Then the value chain has been used. Okay. And a conclusion. So there are many ways you can answer this question. Find the best way. After you finish it, you have to learn from other A-grade answers. That is if you want to win a world prize. Okay. So you can learn, you can benchmark one, but learn from the other A-grade answers. Here's another one. The student here has used another theory. I have given you a journal article as well. See, the student has used, don't say lecture notes there. You can put the author there, Davis, right? Sorry, Van Riel, right? So then the corporate identity mix has been used. Okay. So use the theories I've given you, use the drivers I've given you, write an introduction and a conclusion, talk about the impact on shareholder value and customer value. Now you know what to do. And when you're writing your answer, Be creative, be original, improvise. Don't copy my work or copy the students' answers. This is another good answer. No diagrams used. Introduction, drivers, critical evaluation, advantages and disadvantages, impact, customer value, shareholder. Very straightforward. Ratings are provided as well. So you can see no diagrams, nothing. Okay. Final one I want to show you because I think you now have got the drift. Right? Here again, introduction. So citations are very important here. And you can see the Van Driel theory that I showed you has been used here. Right? Again, here the student has used current drivers of Vodafone and created a diagram. Then the brand pyramid has been used. Balmer's acid test has been used. I gave you this as well in my slides. And then the Millward-Brown's brands theory has been used. Some diagrams are offered as well, some tables and charts with numbers. Okay, right. So any questions, guys? Anything you need to clarify? Anything you need to clarify? Anything you need to clarify? So I think it's very easy, right? When I give you the A grade answers and the structure of the answer. So now you need to be creative. Now comes the creativity, and you need to find the time actually to sit down and do this. Okay. So all the ammunition is there. You have to put it together now. So let's finish 2A also now. We will do 2B and finish the discussion of the case study next week. 2B is on strategic options, simple area. And again, there are past paper A grade answers, so don't worry. And from there onwards, we will start our feedback sessions. So don't wait till the last day to send me your work. After we finish the assignment, please email me the PDF and we will organize a one-to-one feedback session. I will meet all of you one-to-one and we'll do a feedback session. Online, physical, it doesn't matter. All right. Thank you, guys. Good night. Please do your homework. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
You were so silent.